Hello internet, it's your boy MC Gingerbread back at it with another video where I complain into the void of gaming. Today I want to talk about how digital media is going to be the death of competitive pricing in video game markets as a whole, with Xbox just recently announcing that they're going to be coming out with a new digital-only console, and the fact that Walmart and Best Buy have now announced that they are going to stop carrying physical media via DVDs and Blu-rays. It seems to be only a matter of time until video game companies follow suit, and that will be bad for not just you as a consumer, but also for the video game community as a whole. And I just want to talk about that real quick, so if we can just get right into it, let's go.
Stop it. Get some help.
Ever since the birth of video games, there has been third-party resellers that sell used games back to people at a discounted rate. Some even take on trades of games as physical media retains its value, or sometimes even becomes more rare as they become harder to come by. Video game companies do not like this, especially Nintendo. If someone is selling their game, then they want a hand in that transaction, because it's their game, right? Well, no. Once you buy a game with your hard-earned money, it's your game now to do with what you wish. If you want to play it, or keep it on a shelf for a collection, or trade it in for money, whatever you want to do, it's yours. It's now your property. And that makes video game companies angry. They want all the money that they can get. Instead of outright banning the trades of games, which is something that the video game companies have tried before, and it has failed hilariously, Xbox in particular, trying to come up with their family system that only allowed to share it with like 4 or 5 people, and then Sony made a video making fun of them while patenting that same technology that would do the exact same thing. Very weird and stupid. But either way, game companies have now come up with an even easier way to keep you in their ecosystem, and that is digital media or digital games. They are selling you convenience. Now you don't have to get up and take the disc out or switch the cartridge or clean it or however your system works. You literally just go to the menu, click on the media you want, and boom, there it is. That's nice, but is it better? Well, no. And why, do you ask? Well, if you ever get tired of a game or you find that that game isn't for you, what can you do with that digital media? Nothing. A lot of the times you can try and refund it, but most video game companies have a very strict refund policy on how long you've played the game, or if you've played it at all. If you've owned it physically, however, you can just trade it or return it. Granted, you might not get what you want or what you originally paid for it, but you could still at least get something rather than nothing. Another reason for buying games digitally isn't beneficial for you as a consumer is competition. When you buy a digital game from Sony, Xbox, or Nintendo, you don't have a say on the price. They have no competition. You cannot go to any other digital storefront to purchase games on their console. There isn't a way to do that. Thankfully, on computer, at least, all games are almost always digital. There are multiple storefronts that are created to give you better options of prices. Some companies are trying to subvert that fact, like Epic, using their money to make games exclusive rather than invest money and time into making a better storefront for places. They just want to strong-arm their way into the PC gaming market, which I believe is a shitty way of doing things, and it actively hurts the games that they buy. Look at Alan Wake 2. The sales are not good, and that's because it is an Epic exclusive, and they made no physical copies. It's just digital, which shows you that obviously there was a demand for the game because the game is really highly rated. It's on Game of the Year. It's on the list of Game of the Year, and yet not a lot of people have played it. Why? Because you can only buy it digitally, and if you play it on computer, it's only available on Epic, which a lot of people don't like. Very bad. Either way, completely different topic. Worse than the storefront on the consoles themselves. That is the worst place because there is no options. You have no other places to check prices. You can't check sales. You can't use coupons. Nothing. You either buy the game directly from the source, i.e. Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, or not at all. They don't have to do sales. They don't have to discount old games. They have no competition. And that's lame because competition is the catalyst for innovation. Without competition, they have no reason to make their storefronts better or to make them benefit the customer or make their UIs not confusing or their refund policies not shitty. They don't need to because they're the only place that you can go to get the games. That's it.
Oh, I'm sorry, our company doesn't work that way. You want me to give you the number of a different
Game.
company that can... Oh, wait, we're it, aren't we? Dang it, guess you have to deal with our...
Prices. Also, slightly related, physical media releases have gotten much lazier than they were back in the day. Back during the physical media days where console storefronts did not exist, when you bought the game, you'd get like a cool box with art and like the disc and a manual and maybe sometimes some extra cool little goodies that are from the game or something or whatever. Or you could, spend extra money for the special editions where you could get like a statue or like an art book or a steel book or something, cool to show off. A physical, tangible object. Nowadays, in the digital era, there are digital collector's editions of games where they give you like extra digital goodies. And like, how do you decide how much a digital goodie is worth? I feel like those are kind of subjective things, hence why when you sell like a collector's item online, they have different prices because people are going to be willing to pay different prices for certain things. How do you decide what a digital item is worth? You don't. The only people that get to decide that is the company making the product. And that whole concept kind of runs away of limited or like, special editions when it's something that they could produce indefinitely and infinitely. They can make millions of copies of that digital goodie, the skin or whatever. And even after that, there's more conundrums with it. Like, how would you like show that off or sell that later on? Like, you can't use the code, and if you do use the code, now it's yours forever. You can never get rid of it. And like, how do you show that to people? Like, how do you show them a collector's edition? You make them come to a screen and are just like, look at all my digital collector's edition games. That's weird. That's like, the concept of it is so dystopian and strange. It just doesn't make sense. But nowadays, when you buy a physical game, you get the box and the disc, and that's it. There's no manual, there's no cool stuff inside of it. A lot of the times when you get something cool on the inside, it's from like an indie company that'll give you like a cool little manual or maybe like some stickers or something like that. But like the big like AAA games, what do I get in it? Nothing. It's literally just a box, no reversible art, nothing, just a box and a disc, and that's it. Like, and I'm supposed to pay $70 now for games instead of $60? Why? Let's think about this for a second. Why is it that digital games cost just as much as their physical counterpart when the digital game, all the sales go to the company, whereas the physical game, that had to be licensed and made and produced and sold in local stores? And all of those things cost the developer money. 20 to 30% of the game goes to those fees that the company has to pay to create the physical item, and yet the digital counterpart is the same price, even though all of that money goes directly to developer. And it costs them nothing to put it on a storefront that they own. Like $0. How does that make sense? With the physical media, at least you can hold the item, sell it, break it, collect it, whatever you want. The digital item is just numbers and code on a drive, and that's it. What's stopping them from no longer supporting the games? You've already seen it with the closure of the PSP and the 3DS storefront. Thousands upon thousands of games lost to the ether because they were just digital. Either companies just don't make enough money, or they just don't want to host the storefronts to keep them online and functioning. Not to mention all the games that companies just decide to stop supporting. You've seen it recently with like Babylon's Fall and Marvel's Avengers, but that's been happening for years. Like, an example that I can remember was Chrome Hounds. It was a game that was produced by Sega and made by the beloved FromSoft. It was a super awesome mech building game that was like, you could make all these cool mechs and stuff. And I still look back at that game with fond memories, but you can no longer play it. You can't even play the campaign anymore because it was online only. So like, once they closed the servers, the game is now essentially dead. And that sucks. Like, you can't own it. I own it physically, and it does nothing. And there's more of that as an issue with live service games and always online games, but you get my point with our obsession of ease of use. What I'm trying to say is, stop buying digital games. Stop buying digital media as a whole. Go to your local mom and pop store and buy directly from them. Shit, even GameStop is better than buying directly from the producers because companies will make their money regardless, and they're not going to look out for your best interests. So the only person that will is you, and you need to do that yourself. It's not only about better prices and saving money, but it's also about game preservation. We want to be able to look back at the gaming industry as a whole and point to games that we really liked and be able to access them and play them. But companies don't have any intention to do that. They just want to make money in the now, and they don't care about later on when we're trying to look back in history, and that's lame. But anyway, I appreciate you watching the end of this, getting all the way to the end of this video, and thank you very much. And if you have any comments of, like, if you disagree or agree, make sure to leave down below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys. Peace.